Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're breaking down a major proposed government shakeup aimed at speeding up housing sales in England and Wales. If you've ever tried to buy a home there, you already know the process can feel a bit like, well, walking a tightrope in a windstorm. So today, we're looking at a brand new set of reforms designed to finally bring this outdated system into the modern age. Okay, let's dive right in with a word that sounds honestly like a whimsical alien from a sci-fi show: gazumping. But I promise you there is nothing fun about it. It causes absolute heartbreak for prospective homeowners. This happens when a buyer and seller agree on a sale, but then weeks or even months into the process, the seller suddenly pulls out because someone else has swooped in and offered them a higher price. And the crazy part, it's completely legal under the current system. It just leaves the original buyer devastated and, very often, significantly out of pocket. And look, the hard data actually backs up just how common this heartbreak is. According to Johannes Fonstrom, who is the chief executive of the property listing portal Rightmove, more than 1 in 5 sales will initially fall through. That's over 20% of all transactions just collapsing. It's a massive point of friction, and it really highlights exactly why both the industry and everyday buyers are demanding greater transparency and a lot more security. Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with the heartbreak of gazumping, move into the slow and stressful system, look at the proposed binding fix, learn a little bit from Scotland, and finally look ahead at the road to 2029. Section 1. The heartbreak of gazumping, navigating a system with absolutely no legal recourse. Right now, as a buyer, you can literally be outbid at the absolute last minute of a sale. Entire property chains can just fall apart months into the process. And the political recognition of this issue, it goes right to the very top. Prime Minister Keir Starmer stated that the current home buying system leaves people in limbo and puts the prospect of homeownership entirely out of reach for some. He's really framed these reforms as a way to turn the page, bringing an outdated process into the modern age to give people the certainty they actually deserve. Section 2. A slow and stressful system, quantifying the property market's sluggishness. So this sluggishness we're talking about really boils down to one crucial number: 170. According to Rightmove's data, it takes an average of nearly 6 months, 170 days, to complete a property sale across the UK. Think about that for a second. For nearly half a year, buyers and sellers are locked in this precarious dance where everything can fall apart at a moment's notice, with absolutely no penalty. Industry experts absolutely agree that speeding this up isn't just a matter of convenience. It's a necessary step to reduce sheer frustration. Henry Jordan, Nationwide's Group Director of Mortgages, notes that purchasing is too often a slow, complex, and stressful process. The whole goal here is to help people actually complete their purchases, but with way fewer costly surprises along the way. Section 3. The proposed binding fix: faster, fair, and more secure. So how do we fix it? Well, to build a much more secure framework, the government is proposing 3 major steps. First, sellers and estate agents will be required to provide upfront sales packs. These will share vital information about the property's condition and chain status before a buyer even commits. Second, they'll implement binding conditional contracts much earlier in the transaction, potentially as soon as an offer is accepted. And third, if a party decides to just withdraw from this agreement without a valid, legitimate reason, they will face enforced financial penalties. And flipping the system like this to require early commitment and transparency has a massive, direct benefit for you as a consumer. The government actually estimates that by providing all of this crucial information upfront in the sales packs, buyers will save an average of £650. That is real money staying in the pockets of consumers, simply by getting rid of those nasty, late-stage surprises. Section 4. Learning from Scotland, a real-world proof of concept. Now, you might be wondering, does this actually work? Well, while England and Wales currently allow parties to walk away scot-free late in the game, Scotland already operates on a much more secure model. Up in Scotland, sellers actually have to provide home surveys to prospective buyers up front. On top of that, formally accepted offers become legally binding once solicitors exchange letters, which are known as missives. If a party decides to withdraw from the sale after that point, they are held financially liable for the losses of the other party. It's a fully proven system that drastically curtails the kind of gazumping we see down south. Section 5. The road to 2029, timelines and potential caveats. We really have to view this rollout through a historical lens, you know? Actually, about 20 years ago, a Labour government introduced something very similar called home information packs. But they had fairly limited success and were swiftly dropped by the subsequent coalition government. Knowing that history, it makes sense that the current rollout is a slow, multi-year process. The timetable suggests a new code of practice for property agents will be introduced this year. But the really heavy-hitting planned reforms, those legally binding agreements, won't be fully implemented until the end of this parliament in 2029. But we also absolutely have to acknowledge the industry's practical concerns regarding unintended consequences. Critics point out that gathering all this mandatory upfront paperwork for the sales packs might actually delay getting houses onto the market in the very first place. Plus, early binding contracts won't even start until those sales packs are fully active, simply because buyers need that key information before committing. So it's a very delicate balancing act requiring incredibly careful implementation and training. Ultimately, though, impartial oversight views this whole thing as a net positive, provided the rollout is handled well. Leslie Horton, the UK's chief property ombudsman, perfectly summarizes the sentiment here. She says, if implemented carefully and supported by clear guidance and appropriate training, these reforms can create a home buying and selling system that is faster, fairer, and better equipped to meet the needs of consumers in the years ahead. So, as we patiently wait for 2029 to arrive, we are left to ask ourselves, will these binding agreements and financial penalties finally bring the England and Wales housing market into the modern, secure age, ending the heartbreak of gazumping once and for all? Or will the sheer weight of all this new upfront paperwork end up slowing an already sluggish system down even further? It is a truly fascinating turning point for homeownership, and it's definitely one we'll be watching very closely. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer.